Hi guys. So this week we're in Gene Key 3. That's the transit, and we're already in line 4. So the line of the heart chakra, opening our hearts and sharing from our hearts. This Gene Key goes from the shadow of chaos to the gift of innovation and the city of innocence. And for me, this week has been quite chaotic. So that's a good title so far. I was traveling and came to the island here on Monday, and we had a storm and a tree fell, and it was part of the island that there's not very much there. It's even a little bit hard to get there with a car. So when the tree fell, the electricity was cut off, and there was no water, no electricity, and it took a day for the electricians to come, and they couldn't fix it, and then it's Easter, so I had to learn again how it is to go back to basics and basically live for a little while without electricity and water and without a bathroom, and all these things that we take so much for granted, and learning to be innovative, to see, yeah, I have a gas stove, how can I use that? And also in relationship, how do we respond to each other, and how do we do with others, the people that are involved with the house, the owner, the person who rents it. There are so many people in a chaotic situation like that, when it starts to rain in, and when all the things in the fridge, like whose responsibility is that? So just being able to watch ourselves in those situations that are chaotic, and see where do we go, and there are different kinds of shadows depending if we're repressive or reactive. I could feel my 25th gene key in the constriction, like being in the cold also, because we didn't have any heating. So for me it was constriction, and feeling that I was like not safe really. And at the same time, a bit of that innovation of seeing how can I live like this, and there's still so many things that we can do, and candles are quite nice. And I feel this is just my experience from this week, and as a fourth line life's work, or for 4-6 profile, for me, I tend to it is a bit of that anxiety around the heart when we don't feel safe. And then for each line, it's a different flavor when we're thrown into the shadow of each transit. And for me, this week was also another revelation somehow after the 42, and I'm following the transit. So, every year in April, we have this same, we go from the 42 and into the 3. And the 42 is about letting go. It's about letting go of our expectations. It's about detachment, and starting to celebrate life in the moment. Very kind of feminine in a way, in that surrendering that we have in the 42. And then the 3, it's kind of said to be about playfulness as well, because it's kind of in the Wisdom Keepers, Rosie Aronson's book, and beautiful tarot cards. She speaks about this wisdom keeper. It's the only wisdom keeper in the whole book that is a child through the whole story. It says my life story, and it starts as a child, and it's still a child at the end of the story. And I feel like that's very telling for the 3rd gene key, because it's really about keeping that mind of a child, whatever happens to us, and to really go back to innocence instead of going into constriction, or blaming the other, or blaming the environment, or even blaming ourselves. It's this invitation to go back to that. And what I became aware of from the 42 to the 3 is that when we speak about the endings in 42, many times we feel like, oh, now with the 3 comes new energy, and a possibility for mutations and something to change. And then we go into the 3, and we realize that new beginnings are not so often easy. You know, that's the truth. And many times we can see these new beginnings before and have thoughts about them, like even after breakup, and we have all these, you know, feelings of now we're free, so much we can do. And then, you know, maybe it's not that easy. Maybe then the feelings have the time to catch up with us. And there's something about new beginnings where I feel to have a little bit of that openness, and allow also the feelings of chaos, and the feelings that maybe it's not that easy, and maybe not always that fun with new beginnings. And then when we allow that, when we understand, it's easier to invite in. And I feel like these 3 last days I was in the lower lines. We were in the lower lines of the 3, and really I had to look at that, the things that are inside of me deep, you know, in the first line, and then kind of the denial and wanting to blame the other in the second line, and then just like everything kind of going wrong in the third line. And today I'm back. I'm in the 4th line. We're in the 4th line, and I can feel the warmth of my heart. I can kind of laugh at it, and I can be playful again. So for me, it's really a journey where we learn from the lines, we learn from the keys, and also even the expectation that the new beginning is going to be easy is something that I learned to let go of in this transit between the 42 and the 3. And you know, the 3 is also connected to the 50. That's the programming partner that is about corruption. So not corrupting ourselves into those kinds of beliefs, but finding the equilibrium, and knowing that, you know, that's the gift frequency of the 50, that in those situations where the 3 is, and Jinky 3 is very challenging, it is about finding equilibrium. And the 60, which is the other part of the channel between the root center and the sacral, it's about limitation, but it's also about realism. So in those situations where everything feels to fall apart, it's about being realistic, and you know, have a little bit of common sense. And with that common sense also comes that little laughter when it feels like, okay, it's limiting, there's nothing we can do right now, and to just accept. And it is quite fun, and I feel like I could survive longer now, and I would be even more innovative next time this happens. So yeah, that's my little story from this week, that I feel I really lived the transits. I can say that in a on my skin, kind of. Thank you, guys.